first paying job?
So my first paying job, I don't remember if my mother paid me. So I think she did. And in fact, I think she did. And it was to clean pipettes in her lab. I was awful, and she fired me. I also worked at McDonald's, and that paid. But as I said, when I was with the striking McDonald's workers and marching with them in solidarity, I was a student, and I was not required to pay the rent and put food on the table and sustain a family on those wages. But a large number of McDonald's workers today are exactly that, and they should be paid fair wages so that they can have livable wages and be able to sustain their families.
What is your worst habit?
I am a front seat, back seat driver. I'm awful. I have ideas about what the shortcuts are. I have the idea about where we should park. So I am a front seat, back seat driver.
Tell us about a time you were starstruck.
Oh, goodness. I've been starstruck a number of times. Well, when I was a tour guide at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, I have had many jobs in my life. One of them was to be a tour guide at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in D.C., and Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee walked in, and oh my God, I could barely speak, and they took an interest in me. I was just this kid, college student working. They were really wonderful. And then most recently, I actually met Mark Hamill, and being a Star Wars fan, I became a little giddy when I met him. It was behind the scene I was on the Colbert Show. Yeah, that was neat. He said that maybe the Force could be with me. He did. I was really thrilled.
What's something big that you've changed your mind about?
What's something big that I've changed my mind about? Probably, it's more about evolved. I definitely believe that we should legalize marijuana. There was a time when I was more advocating medical marijuana, but I believe we just need to legalize it, period.
Some of your AKA sorority sisters did the ski-wee call at one of your events earlier, and they confused some reporters.
Yes.
Can you explain what that call is and sort of the sisterhood of AKA?
Well, I will say that my sorority sisters were not confused. It was the reporters who were confused. And I think it speaks to a larger point, which is that we still have a lot of work to do on cultural awareness in our country. Because there are a lot of people who are journalists who have the power of the pen who are not familiar with the cultures of the people that they are covering. And I thought of that as being one of those moments that made that very clear. So there's still a lot of work to do in journalism.
For those who don't know, can you tell them what AKA is?
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is the oldest black sorority in the United States, and I am a member.
How has being the daughter of both Indian and Jamaican immigrants shaped your identity and your politics?
Well, I've always been who I am, so I think that the challenge is to maybe help other people understand what that means. But for me, it was growing up with a lot of cultural pride. It was about growing up and learning practically from the day I was born about the commonalities among people, regardless of where they were born or what languages spoke, by their grandparents or how their last names are spelled. I learned really from the moment of birth how much people have in common. And that guides me through today, especially when we now have such powerful forces in our country that are trying to sow hate and division among us and have people point fingers at each other. It is actually not only I think immoral and wrong. It's actually it's ignorant because it overlooks the fact that when you really understand people, you know that most of our urges, most of our desires for ourselves and our families are universal in nature.
You faced criticism for enforcing tough on crime policies as AG in California, particularly prosecuting parents for their children missing school. You've since said that was an unintended consequence of the policy, but also wrote as AG that it was something to be used in the most extreme cases. So was it an unintended consequence, or was it something that you found appropriate under certain circumstances?
Okay, so I'm very proud of my record as both a district attorney, the elected district attorney of San Francisco, and as Attorney General of California. I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice. And when I was there, I actually created in the California Department of Justice one of the first, I think, in the nation, bureaus of children's justice. I named it that because I decided that we were not doing enough to protect the children of our community. And in particular, protecting those children in terms of guaranteeing that children who are the recipients of public goods and services, that they receive the benefit of their bargain. And you can imagine that most of those children are poor children, they're children of color. And so I focused on a number of issues through that lens, including what we need to do and what society and what the government and systems need to do to better protect and give resources to children and their parents to keep them in school every day. And I'm very proud of the work that I did highlighting and bringing attention to an issue that otherwise was not being taken seriously. You know, when children who live in rich communities aren't in school every day, the alarms would sound. The whole community would know about it. But yet, in economically poor communities, in communities where the annual household income was $15,000, there were children who were missing 50, 60, up to 80 days of a 180-day school year. I brought the power of my voice and office to the issue to ensure and get more services for those children. And as a result, we improved attendance rates by a significant amount. And of course, no parents went to jail.
Well, I understand no parents went to jail in San Francisco, but when you took the policy statewide, some went to jail in other districts in California.
I didn't take my policy statewide. There was a law that was in place.
Right.
Yeah.
But you campaigned for it to be taken statewide.
So I am proud of the work that we did, and I do not ever and would never condone anybody jailing any parent for their child missing school.
Can you tell us about a time that you experienced or witnessed discrimination and what you did about it?
Oh, my whole life. I remember the neighbors' kids who we played with one day, checked on, can you come out and play? No, our parents said, we can't play with you because you're black. So, but there are many examples. I don't have a relative who is a black man, a friend or a colleague that I know who has not faced some kind of racial profiling or discrimination. So I have known it my whole life.
Can you tell us about something specific you've worked on where you have seen the direct impact that it's had on another person's life?
Oh, the issue of truancy. As district attorney, I was aware that we had a lot of homicides, and there was always just the same response: put more police on the street, gang enforcement. And instead, I said, hey, who are our homicide victims who are under the age of 25? Instead of just accepting it as a statistic, who are they? And so I did an analysis, and I learned that 94% of them were high school dropouts. When I went over to the school district and asked what's going on, I realized that of the chronically and habitually truant students, 40% were elementary school students, missing 50, 60, up to 80 days of a 180-day school year. So I took the issue on, and I put the school district on alert, I put the city on alert, that we were going to take this issue seriously. And as a result, there was a ramp up of services given to those parents who had a natural desire to parent their children and needed more resources and support. And we improved attendance rates by over 30%. And there is no question in my mind that that had a direct impact on those children and on those families in a positive way.
What is something that you did against the advice of your advisors?
My truancy initiative. Because they said, you're going to take political heat for it because nobody's going to understand why you're doing it. And they might have been right, but I don't regret it.
What is a tough question that you think every candidate should have to answer?
What in your career have you done that has directly impacted people in real time? Not about pretty speeches, but what have you done and what decisions have you had to make when you actually were a decision maker and you knew that your decision would directly impact people? Not your opinion, but your decision.
Tell us about someone you love and why you love them.
I love my husband. He is funny, he is kind, he is patient, he loves my cooking, and he's just a really great guy.
These last questions are sort of a lightning round. What's your favorite curse word?
I can't say it. It starts with an M and it ends with a. Not ER.
What actor should play you in your biopic?
Whoopi Goldberg.
How many hours of sleep do you get or need a night?
Not enough, not nearly. I don't get enough. I need like 7 to 8 is ideal.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
Okay, nobody should ever have to listen to me sing it, but one of the songs I love singing really loud, it's an old Earth, Wind & Fire song, and it's called Reasons. The Reasons.
Trump has Twitter. What is the one app you can't live without?
Oh, my New York Times cooking app.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Clint is going to grab a couple of photographs.
I'm just
And I know you're going to need to leave very
Okay.
shortly.